Hello and welcome to the show. This is the Sales for the Nigerian Business Person podcast. It's available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, or any podcast player of your choice. So subscribe for free once you're done listening to this episode, just in case you're using your web browser to listen. Today on the show, we have audio recordings from the WhatsApp School of Business program that I advertised on Saturday, the 15th of July 2023. The goal of the program was to introduce folks to the fundamentals of doing business in Nigeria and to show how sales and business development principles can help you overcome the harsh landscape of doing business in our dearly beloved country. I also wanted to answer general business questions posed by the participants, and the program was delivered entirely over WhatsApp for the course of more than 1 week. And this is an example of how you can get truly convenient business education in your pocket and learning over WhatsApp at your convenience. If you love what you hear on the podcast and you like daily access to me, to ask me questions related on how to sell in your business, then the WhatsApp Coaching Club is now open, and the investment required for that is only 5,000 Naira a month. You ask me anything, I give you answers and assignments to move your business forward. So if you're interested, hit me up on the socials. Don't worry about how to spell my name. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn, and my name, Tavashima Ayede, is the correct spelling. You can find it in the web browser where you're currently listening to this episode. You see the spelling of my name, the email address, and the photo, and it's also in the profile of the podcast app where you're currently listening to my voice. So Tavashima Ayede, the correct spelling of the name, is there. So if you're interested in the 5K, the WhatsApp Coaching Club, the 5K monthly investment, then let me know. Hit me up, send me a message on 080 6466 2140. The country code for Nigeria is +234. And for those of you who are trying to save to start a business, I'm affiliated with a reputable financial institution in Nigeria that has 504 billion naira in assets. And what that means is they're not going to go broke anytime soon. They're a secure organization to work with. They're not going to run away with your money anytime soon. They're in the business of protecting and guaranteeing your savings. This is not a bank, so you're not going to have an ATM card. You're not going to get hit by lots of miscellaneous fees. And you're going to get an interesting, or rather, you're going to get an improvement on the interest that you get from regular savings banks in Nigeria. And then, of course, this is safer than using loan sharks for the capital to start your business, because loan sharks are going to want to embarrass you and your whole family, and they want you to put your father and your mother up as credit. Sorry, not credit. What's that word? As collateral for the loan. So if you're interested, then hit me up on 080 6466 2140 to get started on saving towards your dream. Now remember, it doesn't have to be saving towards a business. Any savings plan will do. People have saved with this organization for their children's education. Let's say, like me, you have kids in primary school and you're wondering about secondary school and the all-expensive university education. And then, of course, folks like my mom saving towards retirement. So if you're interested, hit me up and let's get you started. Now, on with the episode for today. Before we begin, I'd like to apologize because today I should have delivered the resources for day 13, but it was a rather long Sunday. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to answer the question that was put up on the group by Ose a couple of days ago. Okay, well, actually, he shared it with me in private last week. I put it up on the queue. That's for those people who've been asking questions in the group, so questions that we'll tend to. So yesterday, which was day 12, I had the audio resource for day 12 up, and then we answered the first part of his question. So the second part of the question is on how to set your prices, and that's what we're going to tackle today. Oh, I forgot the introductions. I'm your host, Abuja-based sales consultant and sales coach, business consultant and sales coach, Tavishima Ayede. And the question that we're going to answer today that was put up in the that was shared in the WhatsApp group is how to set your prices. Now, this is a very long question to tackle, and like I said at the beginning of the exercises when we started on day 1, a lot of the problems that we're going to tackle here, we're going to tackle them using a sales and business development perspective because sales and business development has a lot to say on most aspects of the business. So yes, I'm going to agree from the outset that this is probably not a sales question per se, but it is a question that people who are in sales management have to tackle every now and then. They have to tackle in conjunction with people in the marketing department or in the product, what's it called? Is it product management? Yes, people in the people who have product management functions, marketing functions, and so sometimes sales has a seat at the table, something to say about these sorts of things. So, there are two broad philosophies when it comes to setting your prices, and we're only going to look at one of those today because I don't want to make another recording that goes into 15-20 minutes. So, there's the cost based approach, which everybody knows and which is the most intuitive one, because for those of us who have tried doing entrepreneurial stuff in primary school, it's the basic thing that you did. You buy a bunch of materials, you put everything together. This is how much it cost me. This is how much I'm hoping to get at the end of it. So I slap a price at the end of it. So this is what comes intuitively to most people. Then there is value-based pricing. Value-based pricing is totally divorced from the cost of making the thing, but rather is tied to the value that the market perceives. It's tied to the value that the market perceives at the end of the day. This is what you get when it comes to luxury goods or things that are beyond commodity goods, like the iPhones. So people make this whole song and dance about how iPhones are produced in the same factories in China as the other China brands, in quote, as they're called in Nigeria, like Techno and Co. That are made pretty much in the same factories. So why do iPhones command 2 times, 3 times, sometimes 4 times the pricing of all these other China phones in quotation marks? And that's because it's all about value-based pricing. It's not about the cost of the phone. You'll find that the cost of producing the phone per unit might be very low, low enough for everybody in the country. So when I say in the country, I mean Nigeria. I'm speaking in the Nigerian context. Probably cheap enough for everybody in the country to afford one. But they're not looking at cost-based pricing. It's about value-based pricing. What pricing is the market going to be able to bear on per unit of these things that we produce? So those are the broad philosophies that we look at: cost-based pricing and value-based pricing. So if you're coming in new to business, and remember that the background is that the fellow that we're talking to, I made a mistake in the first answer that I gave. He is not an architect yet. He hasn't graduated. I think he's in his final year. He's done with the internship programs, so they're going to be having finals soon. And the business that he's involved in, 3D modeling. What else? 3D modeling, user interface design, user experience design. What else? I'm sorry, I can't remember all the other things. But anyway, UX design, UI design, 3D modeling, at least I remember those ones. And so now the quandary is, how do you set your prices? So if you're like this chap, getting ready to come in new to the market, those are the options that you have ahead of you: cost-based pricing, value-based pricing. So today, I've already hit 5 minutes. So today we're just going to look at cost-based pricing. Like I said, cost-based pricing is the most intuitive one. That's the one that we all do, and the math is actually quite simple if you're brave enough to tackle it. Because for some people, you sit down with a pen and paper and then it seems all scary. But what I advise is, yes, sitting down doing all this math might seem scary. Even if you go with value-based pricing, either way, it still seems scary. So what we should be doing, especially from a sales point of view, is just pick a formula, either one, get a price, either way, and then see how many people you can get buying it. So you can pick cost-based pricing. Let's see how hard it is to get 10 people to buy. And once we have 10 sales under the bag, let's see how much profit did we make. Was it worth the hassle? Was the process of selling it too hard relative to the reward that we're getting? And then we take all this feedback and then we try again. So you are not going to get any perfect scientific price. So there's no fixed price in the heavens. There's no special price or guidebook that is saying iPhones have to be priced at this, or Samsungs have to be priced at that. It's all value-based pricing, iPhone can get away with some prices. Samsung can get away with some prices on the high-end phones, and then Tecno can get away with some pricing on their high-end phones. Maybe not just yet. So for the Samsung, what's it called? The folding one, the one that opens up to be the size of a tablet. The last time that I asked about the price was about 900 grand, and then Tecno came up with his own folding one, but then the cost was about 400 grand. So you see, I mean, 400 grand. That's Nigerian currency, not US dollars. So it's a value based pricing. Tecno can get away with 400k for now. Maybe in the future, with proper branding and all whatnot, they might be able to command higher prices. But for now, Tecno, 400 grand, Samsung, 900 grand. And where was I? Anyway, bottom line, what I was just trying to say is it might seem scary, but just pick one, run with it. Let's see how easy we can sell it. After we sell a couple, we will have to recalibrate. So for cost base, what is the actual cost of producing your product or your service? It gets tricky when we're talking about services, but let's just freestyle. Let's see if we can find a way. Then next, we consider the profit margin that we would like to make on the product or the service. So when we're looking at actual costs in this case, we're going to be looking at the fixed costs and the variable costs. And remember, we're going to tack our profit margin at the end. Now, the idea behind fixed cost is this: that when it comes to producing some things, there's the cost of back to Samsung and Tecno. So back for Samsung and Tecno, there are some costs that are fixed that don't change. The cost of the factory, that is fixed. The cost of the land, that is fixed. The cost of the labor, the people that they use on the conveyor belt, that is fixed. The cost of the machines automating the whole thing, that is fixed. So the price, the cost of that is fixed. Is going to remain fairly stagnant over time. Then there's variable costs. Because of the war in Ukraine, maybe the cost of some raw materials might go up today, might go down tomorrow. Those are variable costs. So fixed cost plus variable costs, that gives you an idea of how much it costs to produce the thing. Now, since we're talking about someone who is still in university at the moment, final year, fixed costs, variable costs, we're going to be throwing around things like how much does he pay on rent, how much on food, because I'm assuming that he's going to be working out of his own house, not that he has an office space that he goes to. So how much for the house, how much for food, how much for transportation, how much for NEPA, all those things. Take fixed costs, take variable costs. How much on average does he drive to client meetings, things like that. So that's the mind frame that we're going to be looking at pretty much. What costs are fixed, what costs are variable. Let's see if we can slam everything together. Then there also has to be the cost of labor, because right now, let's consider him to be a business owner. And if he were a business owner, he would be paying somebody to do the job that he's currently doing right now. So let's put a cost there for how much you would pay your labor. So right now, because we have nothing better else to go on, let's just say minimum wage. We're just throwing around figures, just for we're just being hypothetical here. So let's say minimum wage. Then let's also pretend that if it was the business owner, there's a certain amount of profit or whatever that he would like to be taking money, and then let's slam all those costs together. Now, the good thing is this particular individual who asked the question, Ose, he actually has had a number of clients in the past because he ran some promos. He's been getting organic traffic from his Instagram. So we'd actually do have some figures to be able to guess, like how many clients do you get in a month. So let's add it up. Let's say it's 2 or 3 clients a month. Then now the math now becomes, we're going to add together all these costs, divide by the number of clients, and then that gives us a fair idea of what his pricing should be. I mean, that's kind of like the rough math. Now, I am not an accountant or a product management specialist, so perhaps you should be talking to those sorts of people to get this thing really, really fine-tuned. But for now that you don't have the money to pay these kinds of people, and now that you're only sitting down talking to me, who is a sales coach and business consultant, this is the rough math that we're going to do. Because as far as I'm concerned, whatever figure it is that we reach is not important. The most important thing is that we need to start somewhere, and we need market validation to test it out. That is, we start with the figure, we approach the market, we see how the market behaves. We're either going to get too much friction, and then we know our price is too high, or we're going to get people rushing us for our services, and then we know that our prices are too low, and we are going to adjust over time. But bottom line, this thing that cripples people about what price should I set, and because of that, you never actually take the first step. Just go ahead, start somewhere, test it out. Market validation is going to decide where it is you're heading. Because back to the iPhone thing, there's this legend that supposedly for the first set of iPhones, they put up a price, and there were lots of people, and they raised the price, and it didn't seem to stop demand, and they raised it again. I can't remember how many times that they supposedly raised their prices on the first edition, but if you can check and you can confirm those stories, you'll get to see exactly what I mean about these things playing out. So the actual figure doesn't really matter whether he's charging 15k per hour or 150k per hour, or if it's a more of like a project-based pricing thing, and he's trying to get 100k per project or something. The actual figure doesn't matter. Let's take that figure and then let us start somewhere, whatever formula it is that you use, whether it's cost based or value based. But of course, since he's a service professional, sometimes it's not going to be all that simple. Things might have to be costed based on a project basis. Like, okay, for this thing that we're doing, we expect 7 man hours to do it, and it's going to involve different components that have to be priced separately. But anyway, I've been going on for too long. Bottom line, what I'm trying to say is, whatever price that it is that we arrive with, it doesn't matter. We need to start somewhere. We need to get going. Market validation, interaction with the market, demand and supply. That's where it will tell us whether we're at the right place or not. And remember that wherever we start with doesn't have to be where we end with. So the fact that you're charging 10k today doesn't mean you have to charge 10k for the rest of your life. You'll start at 10, you'll move to 12, you'll move to 15, and then onward. Because after all, when I started off in my wedding photography journey, the first job I did was 50,000 naira, and it cost me 47,000 naira to execute on that wedding. That's transport there, and then batteries, and then I bought gala and coke, because I don't like to rely on the clients to feed me at the end of the day. So I bought myself a few gala and a bottle of coke. Then I produced the album, and I can't remember if I made a frame, but basically I charged them 50k, and it cost me 47,000 naira to carry out the whole wedding. But of course, I didn't stick to doing only 50,000 naira gigs throughout my whole career as a wedding photographer. And the most expensive one I did was 800 grand, but that was photography and video. I think we threw in a drone for that particular couple. So don't worry where you start. Don't worry if you start too low. We can rough it and we can make it happen. So tomorrow, which is actually day 14, would now be the day when I put up the audio resource for day 13. So apologies for that. Like I said, today turned out to be a very long Sunday. So thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next session tomorrow.